Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Hare Krishna. Do we have any questions for today? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question. Like every living being is the part and parcel of Supreme Krishna.
Yes.
So everybody should be given chance to elevate and get liberation.
Yeah.
Here demigod is considered as superior over demons. This is why it is because demons do not perform activities in favor of Supreme, but the knowledge to perform those activities, and that knowledge is coming from Supreme. Then why Supreme does not give that knowledge to demons, and why let them suffer after a year for long and long?
So actually, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Naham dveshyosti na priyaha, that samoham sarvabhuteshu. Krishna says, I'm equal to all living entities. Nobody is a friend of Krishna, nobody is enemy of Krishna. Krishna does not consider that this person is my enemy, this person is my friend. That's never Krishna's consideration. Just like if a father is having 5 sons, and each of them has different relationship with the father. Some of them may be very loving, some of them may not be so loving, some of them may be rebellious. All kinds of sons may be there. But for the father, he treats all of them equally. Although he may treat all of them equally, the son who is very obedient and respectful and loving to the father will trust him with all his money and his future business responsibilities and all that. That does not mean that the father is partial to only that son. Now, suppose in the future that rebellious son reforms himself and comes back to the father and says, Father, I made a mistake. All these years I was rebellious to you. Please forgive me. I want to be obedient to you and loving to you. Father will immediately embrace him with open arms, and he will entrust him also with a lot of responsibilities. The father is always ready. Whether the son is ready or not is a question. Similarly, Krishna sees all living entities as his part and parcel. And he is always waiting when this living entity will turn towards me. In the Upanishads also it is stated, Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samane vrikshe parishashva jate. That there is one tree, and on the tree there are 2 birds who are sitting. The tree has many fruits. Some of the fruits are sweet, some are sour. And one of the birds is constantly eating the fruits of the tree, sometimes sour, sometimes sweet. The other bird is not eating the fruits of the tree. The other bird is simply waiting and looking, when will this other bird turn and look towards me? This analogy is given in the Upanishads to explain the position of the living entity within this material world. The tree is nothing but this body. The body is compared to a tree. And the 2 birds within the tree are the living entity and the Paramatma. And the fruits on the tree are the results of our activities. The sweet fruit of the tree refers to the happiness that we are supposed to enjoy on account of our punya karma. And the sour fruits are the distresses which we have to suffer because of our papa karma. Constantly we are either enjoying some happiness or suffering from some distress in this material world. We are caught up in this. Now the Paramatma is not involved in any material activity. So he creates neither papa nor punya for himself. He doesn't have to enjoy or suffer the results of his activities. He is simply waiting, accompanying the jiva in every birth after birth, in every form, in every birth that he takes, that the jiva takes, the Paramatma is also accompanying. The jiva may be born, we all may be born as some devata. We may be born as Brahma, the topmost living entity. Or we may be born as Indra, the chief of all the devatas, the ruler of Swargaloka. Or we may be born as some king in this earthly planet. In all these life forms, Paramatma accompanies the jiva. He is there in every body. Andantarastam paramanuchayantarastam. He is present in each and every atom of the universe, as well as in the heart of each and every living entity. And sometimes we fall even further down and we have to take some animal form. Even in that animal life, Krishna is present along with the soul. Sometimes the jiva falls down further and takes the body of some tree or plant. Even in that, Paramatma accompanies the jiva. And sometimes we have to take the body of some very abominable species like a pig, stool-eating pig, or a worm in the stool. Even there also Paramatma accompanies the soul. Of course, Paramatma is untouched by all these different kinds of bodies that we may take. But his whole point is that this living entity is my part and parcel. So wherever he goes, I will accompany him, although he is unwelcome. We may not recognize, we may not welcome, we may not want him. But still, the Lord says, no. This fellow does not know his own, what is his welfare. That does not mean I will abandon him. He may not love me, but I love him. So the Lord does not abandon us. Now, the Lord, what he does, because he loves us so deeply, and he is waiting, when will we turn towards him? When will we become inquisitive to learn about our relationship with the Supreme Lord? Krishna, what he does is, he gives the knowledge of the Vedas, and he incarnates as Veda Vyasa to write down all the Vedas so that we can learn them, we can be aware of them, and from that we can understand our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Not only that, Krishna also sends his various messengers from time to time. Various Acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Yamunacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada himself. All these messengers Krishna keeps sending so that the message can be spread and we can become aware of our true position as well as that of the Supreme Lord. And still Krishna is not satisfied. He sends forth various incarnations. Lord Ramachandra comes, Varahadev comes, Narasimha comes, Parashurama comes. All these incarnations the Lord sends forth into this world to spread, primarily to spread the message, to reclaim the fallen souls. And even after that, Krishna is not satisfied. Krishna personally comes himself and gives the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. All this Krishna does. But then, even though Krishna's intense desire is that we rectify our conditioning and we revive our relationship with him and we go back to Godhead. That is Krishna's intent. Krishna is always wanting this. But still, Krishna respects our free will. He wants us to voluntarily decide that we want to go back to Godhead. We want to become a servant of Krishna. He wants us to voluntarily decide that. That is why Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters. And after speaking the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna told Arjuna, now whatever I have to speak, I have told. Yathe ichchasi tatha kuru. Now you decide what you want to do. Whether you want to follow my instructions or not. Krishna left it to Arjuna. And what did Arjuna do? Arjuna said that Sarvam metam mritam manye. Whatever you have said, I accept it to be true, and I will follow your instructions. Therefore, Krishna gives the knowledge, and he gives us the deciding authority to decide what we want to do. Now, when it comes to the Danavas and the Asuras also, when you look at the Devatas, to guide them, to give them proper knowledge, there is Brihaspati, who is knowledgeable in the Vedas, and he keeps guiding Indra and all the other Devatas. In the case of Danavas, there is Shukracharya. Danavas are also not bereft of Vedic knowledge. Shukracharya is guiding them. He is giving them all Vedic knowledge. He also teaches them how to do yajnas and all that. But unfortunately, the Danavas are so much swept away by the Vedic promises of various material happiness that they can derive by performing different yajnas and satisfying the Devatas, that they are not interested in becoming devotees of Krishna. The Danavas therefore will become devotees of various Devatas, but they will not become devotee of Vishnu. Example is Ravana. Ravana was one of the biggest Asuras. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, he was a great devotee of Lord Brahma. He did so much tapasya, such intense tapasya he did, Hiranyakashipu, that he was so deep in meditation and he was doing such severe tapasya without eating any food or drinking any water for years together, that his whole body had got eaten away by ants. And there was only the skeleton and the pranavayu circulating, because of which he was still alive, although all the flesh had gone away. And his whole body had got covered by an anthill. You can imagine the amount of the years he had spent in tapasya. And by doing this, he pleased Lord Brahma. But what was his intention in pleasing Brahma? He wanted a vara, he wanted a boon by which he could become immortal and he could kill Vishnu. This was his intention. You see how all the Devatas, look at Kamsa. Kamsa was a great devotee of Durga. When Devaki was giving birth to her sons, Kamsa came and so cruelly he killed all of them, infants, newborn babies. And how did he kill them? He took them, dashed them on the floor, stone floor, and killed them. This is how he used to kill. And when Krishna appeared, Vasudeva, out of fear that Kamsa will do the same thing to Krishna also, he took him to Gokula and he exchanged him with Yashoda's daughter. And when the daughter was brought, Kamsa took her also and flung her onto the floor. But she escaped from his hands, and she rose up in the sky with 8 arms, adorned with all kinds of weapons. As Durga Devi, she appeared and told Kamsa, "You, oh fool, what are you doing? You are thinking that I am your enemy? The person who is going to kill you is already born somewhere else." So the moment she told that, Kamsa immediately folded his hands and, "Oh, Durga is telling means it must be true. See how the other Devatas, they all lied to me. They told Devaki's 8th child is going to kill me, but the 8th child is Durga." And so astonishing it is. Devaki gave birth to Durga. Durga has appeared as a daughter. And Durga is telling that 8th child is not the one who is going to kill. The person who is going to kill is already born somewhere else. So she is true. All the other Devatas are wrong. He had so much respect for Durga. But he was totally against Krishna. From this we can understand that sometimes the Danavas, when they become very powerful, like Hiranyakashipu, then they will not bother even about other Devatas. Apart from Brahma and Lord Shiva, Hiranyakashipu did not have, he overthrew Indra and all the other Devatas and put all his Asuras and Rakshasas in various posts to take care of the sun, to take care of the water and all those kind of things. He started controlling everything. Bali Maharaj, when he also defeated the Devatas, he also put his various people in the different positions. So they do all that. Sometimes they do that also. But if they are not so powerful enough, they'll become devotee of some Devata and try to overpower Vishnu. This is the problem with the asuras. Why we call them inferior to devatas? Not because they are inferior in intelligence, not that they are inferior in terms of material power, strength to stand in battle, not that they are inferior in terms of wealth and opulence. The Danavas are also very opulent. They are also extremely intelligent. And sometimes they get even more powerful than the Devatas. So in what way are they inferior? They are inferior in terms of their consciousness. And what consciousness is that? The consciousness that I am a servant of Vishnu. All the Devatas, they have clear understanding that I am a servant of Vishnu and I am here in this post to represent Vishnu and carry out his mission. All of them are clear about that. Whereas the Asuras, their thinking is this world is for my enjoyment. This is the difference between the Asuras and the Devatas. And so therefore, the Asuras are called inferior because of their lack of the understanding that they are all servants of Krishna. Krishna does not prevent. Krishna is not partial to the Devatas. Only to the Devatas I'll give my shelter and my knowledge. No, Krishna's knowledge is open everywhere. The Bhagavad Gita is available even for the Daityas and Danavas, even for them. How many times Bhishma Deva, Dronacharya, Vidura, all these people told Duryodhana, Krishna is the supreme person. He is not an ordinary person. And Krishna is with the Pandavas. Don't think about troubling the Pandavas. Hand over the kingdom to them. How many times they told him? Duryodhana would not listen. Even in the battle of Kurukshetra, Duryodhana would go to Bhishma and tell, you are the greatest warrior. Nobody can stand in front of you. You defeated even Parashurama. So who can defeat? The Pandavas are nothing in front of you. Bhishma would tell, Are Baba, what are you talking? On their side, Krishna is there. Krishna is not fighting. No need. No need for Krishna to fight. Simply he desires it's enough that the whole world will get destroyed. You are talking of some puny army. What is this? But Duryodhana would not listen. He was telling, Krishna is also one powerful guy. और कहीं पातरला एक हाथ देख लेंगे क्या है. That was Duryodhana's thinking. He would not listen. Same way with Dhritarashtra also. When Akrura came, Krishna sent Akrura from Dwaraka to Hastinapura to inquire about what Dhritarashtra was doing and how he was taking care of the Pandavas. This was before the Pandavas got coronated and they got Indraprastha. At that time, Akrura came, stayed for a few months in Hastinapura and saw all the dealings between Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and the Pandavas and all that. And he understood how Dhritarashtra was not handing over the kingdom to the Pandavas and he had no plans to hand over the kingdom to the Pandavas, although they were the rightful heirs. Finally, while leaving Hastinapura, going back to Dwaraka, Akrura approached Dhritarashtra and told him, this policy of yours is not good. The Pandavas are the rightful heirs. You should hand over the throne to them. Don't think of cheating them. What is this? Your son is going and poisoning them and all that. I heard all this. This is all not good. You have to understand that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, he does not like this. Therefore, you should desist from all this. To which Dhritarashtra replied, maybe what you are saying is true. Maybe Krishna is the Supreme Person. But I am driven by my love for my son. I cannot disobey what my son says. I am bound by my love for my son to follow whatever he says. So, if Krishna is the Supreme Lord, then as per his will, whatever has to happen will happen, let us see. But I cannot stop this policy of cheating the Pandavas of their kingdom. Openly Dhritarashtra told. Even Dhritarashtra was told, but he did not accept. We can see from this, Krishna is giving his knowledge, but people are not ready to accept. That is the problem. Therefore, it is not the fault of Krishna that he is partial to the Devatas and not to the Danavas. If the Danavas surrender to Krishna, Krishna will give them equal this one. Look at Prahlad Maharaj. He is born as the son of the topmost Asura, Hiranyakashipu, who terrorized the whole universe. In the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned how Hiranyakashipu, if in anger he would raise his eyebrows like this, Indra would start trembling. Oh, Hiranyakashipu has become angry. Hiranyakashipu has become angry. So powerful Hiranyakashipu had become. He went and threw out Indra out of his palace in Swarga and occupied it. This was the position of Hiranyakashipu. His son was Prahlad Maharaj. And look at how the Lord reciprocated with Prahlad Maharaj. Because Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee, Krishna. For Krishna, it is all this birth is not a consideration. You should be born in a Brahmana family. You should be a Devata. None of these considerations Krishna has. You may be born in the lowest. You may be born as a son of a Chandala. But if you become a devotee, Krishna gives you the highest position. That is why Devahuti, who is the mother of Kapila Deva, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, she said, Aho bato swapacho ato gariyan yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam. She said, Aho swapacho ato gariyan. A person may be born in the family of people who eat dog meat. People who dog meat are considered the lowest in the society. People who eat chicken and mutton and these kind of things are still better than those who eat dog meat. They are considered the lowest in the society. Of course, I don't think those days they used to eat bats. But if they, I suppose if they were there, then they would have been considered the lowest. So Devahuti, the mother of Lord Vishnu, she says that even though one may be born in the family of people who eat dog, Shvapachaha. Shva means dog. Pachaha means one who cooks dog meat and eats. Aho bato Shvapacho ato gariyan. He becomes bigger than the best of the Brahmanas. He becomes superior to the best of the Brahmanas. How? Yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam. If he chants your holy name, immediately he becomes better than the best Brahmana. Krishna does not go by all this. Krishna sees how much devotion you have for him. If you become a devotee of Krishna, even if you are an Asura, Krishna will give you the highest position. Look at Bali Maharaj, such a great devotee. Because he is such a great devotee, although as Vamaradeva, he took away the entire kingdom of Bali Maharaj, but still, after that, he blessed him by becoming himself the doorkeeper of the kingdom of Bali Maharaj. And not only that, he also assured him that after the tenure of the current Indra's actual name is Purandara. Indra is the name of the post. Just like today, Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of the country. That means Narendra Modi is his name, Prime Minister is the post. But whenever, if in the TV news and all, you will see, whenever the Prime Minister is shown addressing somebody, they will say, today the Prime Minister said like this, today the Prime Minister said like this. Similarly, today the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu is Stalin. Now, Stalin is his name. The post is Chief Minister. Similarly, Purandara is the name of the person who is occupying the post of Indra at the current time. He also has got a tenure. He also is Indra not permanently, only for certain number of years. Once his tenure gets over, Bali Maharaj will become the next Indra. Vishnu, Vamaradeva has promised him. Because he is qualified to become Indra. Currently, the only disqualification he has is that he is the king of the Danavas. And currently, already, a person is occupying that post. So, he cannot overthrow him illegally. Therefore, Vamaradeva said, don't worry, you are fully qualified. After this Indra's tenure, you are the next Indra. So, you see how Krishna is not partial to the Devatas. Even the Asuras, if there is a qualified person, even he can become Indra or Brahma, provided he becomes a devotee of the Supreme Lord. This is all. So it is open for everyone. Now it is up to us to take it or leave it. A beautiful example Prabhupada gave is, suppose in the night and everything becomes pitch dark in the night, and suppose there is a power cut, everything is pitch dark. But it is a full moon night, Purnima. On Purnima, the moonlight is enough for you to be able to see, and it will not become pitch dark like that. Now there is a guy who goes into his house, he closes all the doors and windows, puts wherever glass is there, he nicely seals it up completely and makes his room fully dark. And then he says, look at the moon, so partial. Next door neighbor, the moon rays are going into his home and he's lighting all the rooms. And look at my house, the moon is not sending his rays here and it's fully pitch dark. So can we say moon is partial? Arey Baba, you open your window and door, immediately moonlight will come to your room also. You cannot accuse the moon of being partial. The moon casts its rays on the courtyard of a righteous, truthful person also, and on the courtyard of a crooked, devious, lying man also, equally. Now it is up to us how much we want to take advantage of that moonlight. Similarly, Krishna's instructions are there for everyone. In fact, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that even the most sinful person can take advantage of the Bhagavad Gita and he can become liberated from all his reactions, all his past sinful reactions. Krishna is told in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly. But then, if we refuse to take advantage, if we refuse to surrender to Krishna, that is not Krishna's fault. That is how we have to understand that Krishna has given the opportunity equally to all the Danavas also, to even to the Devatas also. But the Devatas have that consciousness, they take advantage of their devotion to Krishna, therefore they are given all the facilities. Is that okay? Yes, please. Any other question? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
As the Supreme Lord is personally present with the all living entity, then how Maya can overcome the living entity in the presence of Supreme Lord? As if Supreme Lord is not undergo influence of Maya. So how we can understand this thing?
The point is that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that Krishna Surya Sama. Krishna is like Surya, brilliant, effulgent. And when the sun has risen, blazing sun has risen in the sky, then there is no question of darkness anywhere. Can we say the sun has risen, blazing hot sun is there in the sky, everywhere it has become dark? It cannot happen. When the sun is in full glory, the sun is beating down, it has to be clear everywhere. The moment the sun rises in the east, what happens? Darkness of the night also gets dissipated. When the sun is not there, at that time it becomes night. But once the sun has risen, there is no question of darkness. It's not possible. Krishna is Surya Sama. The moment, wherever Krishna is there, the brightness of Adhyatmic knowledge, knowledge of the soul, is automatically present there. On the other hand, Maya Haya Andhakara. Maya is Andhakara. Maya is the darkness of ignorance. The ignorance that thinking that I am the body, I am not a spirit soul. That is the ignorance of Maya. Yaha Krishna taha nahi Maya Radhikara. Where Krishna is present, there is no Adhikara, there is no presence of Maya. It is not possible. Then how do we understand that Krishna is present with us in the heart? So he must be illuminating my heart with all knowledge. Then how am I covered by ignorance? The same example. If I go inside the room, shut down all the doors and windows, and put all the draperies, everything, and make the room pitch dark, how can I expect the sunlight to come into my room? Sunlight can come into my room only when I open my doors and windows to the sunlight coming in. Similarly, Krishna is ready to light the lamp of knowledge in my heart. You see, although Krishna Surya Sama, still Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that he reveals himself only to those he chooses. Krishna reveals himself to the living entity according to our desire, according to our surrender. So, if the living entity wants to know about Krishna, if the living entity is desirous of Vedic knowledge, if the living entity is desirous of getting out of the ignorance of Maya, then Krishna will immediately light the lamp of knowledge within the heart. Aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto. He says, Krishna says, I destroy the ignorance within the heart, the darkness of ignorance within the heart by lighting the lamp of knowledge within the heart of the living entity. Krishna himself does that. Naham prakashaha sarvasya. At the same time, Krishna does not reveal himself unless we desire it. Again, Krishna respects our free will. Therefore, what Krishna does is, Krishna puts the curtain of Maya and does not allow himself to be seen by the living entity unless and until he desires to. And therefore, the ignorance of Maya covers our eyes. If our eyes are covered, if somebody has blindfolded me, again I cannot see the sun, everything will be dark. Right now, we are blindfolded by Maya. And when we surrender to Krishna, Krishna immediately lights the lamp of knowledge in the heart. Immediately the andhakara of Maya is removed. Again, it is all depending on our choice. Based on our choice, Krishna can either light the lamp of knowledge or leave it as dark. The darkness of Maya, the darkness of ignorance. It is up to us. That is how we have to understand. Is that okay? Any other question, please?
Hello. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like I have a question that like as it is being said that at every point of life, at every stage of life, whatever we are doing, we need to just do our best to do that. So like my question is like how we will recognize or we will understand that as we are doing it, so we are doing our best in that.
Okay. So does that mean to say if I get a job in my slaughterhouse, I should do my best and kill all the animals nicely, and that is karma yoga? I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't mean that like whatever, like I'm doing my study now. So like I'm doing study. So how I'll recognize that I'm doing my best in my studies?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that connection. So exactly, if you take that example a little further. Okay, there is a terrorist. Now his job is to be a terrorist. So what he should do? He should do it best. Right? And that is karma yoga. Do we consider like that? So we have to understand that when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that we have to do everything to the best of our ability, we have to understand that there is something known as duty. There is something known as livelihood. There is something known as duty. There are two things. So one is vritti, one is karma. One is vritti and one is dharma. Both are different. Now when it comes to vritti means the occupation which I take up for my livelihood. To fill my stomach and have a nice house and be safe and sound, take care of my family. These are basic needs. To take care of that, what we do is called vritti. This is livelihood. Another is called dharma, which involves duties. Duties which I have to perform on account of having taken the human form of birth. Livelihood, doing whatever is required to sustain oneself, that is done even by animals. Animals also do. Human beings do it in a little polished way, in a more sophisticated way, so that cooperatively all human beings can live in peace and harmony. They don't kill each other and eat each other. Comfortably we can live. So, human beings may do it in a polished way, in a cooperative way. Animals do it in a very crude way. They also defend themselves. They also make arrangements for eating. They also make arrangements for sleeping. They also make arrangements to take care of their family and children and all that. They also do that. They do it in a very crude way. Now, when it comes to duties, what Krishna is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita, karma, it is completely different. It is not referring to only vritti. Vritti is one very small portion. What karma we have to do is referring to the different duties which are prescribed in the Shastras for a person to do every day without fail. There are nitya karmas which one person has to do every day. For example, the Panchasona Yajna, which consists of 5 types of sacrifice which one has to do every day. One is Pitra Yajna, one is Deva Yajna for satisfying all the devatas, one is Nri Yajna for taking care of all the atitis, Bhuta Yajna for all the other living entities. So like this, there are 5 kinds of sacrifice which every day a grihastha has to perform. Nobody can go without doing that sacrifice every day. And this is called Nitya Karma. Then there is Naimittika Karma. Karma, duties which you have to perform on certain occasions. Like Ekadashi, you have to fast. Janmashtami, you have to fast. On some other Shraddha time, there are certain duties to be performed for the Pitrus. These are called Naimittika Karma. Then there is desired activities, Kamya Karma. I desire some result. I want a lot of money, or I want health, or I want a beautiful wife, I want a good husband. These are all different kinds of karma that we have. For that, there are Kamya Karmas, which are described in the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas. You worship Surya Deva, you will get good health. You worship Uma Devi, you will get a beautiful wife. You worship Lakshmi Devi, you will get a lot of wealth. And there are certain specific yajnas that you have to do to them to get your desired result. This is called Kamya Karma. So when Krishna is saying that you have to do your swadharma or you have to do your karma very diligently, Krishna is referring primarily to the Nitya and the Naimittika karmas. These have to be, these are obligatory. Your vritti you may do, you may not do. That's a different matter. You may become a sannyasi and then you are free from all vritti also. Vritti is not obligatory, but karma is obligatory. So, coming to your question as a duty, as a student, how do I do my duty very nicely? Now, in the Vedic times, student means you have to, the primary learning that you get from your teacher is knowledge of the spirit soul. What kind of vritti to do and what are the duties within that vritti, those are all secondary things which are also taught by the teacher. For a Vaishya, there are certain vrittis to be followed. For a Kshatriya, there are certain vrittis to be followed. So these were secondary. But primary knowledge that the Guru would give to the students was the knowledge of the spirit soul. Therefore, we have to understand the primary knowledge is always given the most importance. The primary importance given to is to developing one's spiritual knowledge. Therefore, in the Vedic times, the understanding was whatever one's vritti, whatever one's karma one is doing, all of it has to be directed towards pleasing Lord Vishnu. Varnashrama charavata purushena parappuman aradhyate. For glorifying, for worshipping Vishnu, whatever vritti I have to do, whatever this one I have to do, karmas I have to do, I will do. That is the intention with which it was done. In today's world, however, the training and the culture that is imparted to all the students is you should do everything to maximize your happiness. Whatever you are happy doing, do it. Isn't it? That's how we are all trained up, and as we go forward in Kali Yuga, that is becoming more and more prominent. In the 1 or 2 generations previous to us, what you used to be thinking? Mother and father, whatever they say, I have to do. Mother and father tell me I have to become engineer, I'll become engineer. They tell me I have to become doctor, I'll become doctor. Current generation, what is the thinking? Mother and father should follow what I want. Why should I follow what they want? So, maximize my sense gratification. My happiness is the most important thing. And to this end, all material knowledge, what we are learning as students in our colleges, in our schools, etc., all of them are directed towards this. How you can maximize your sense gratification? Actually, sense gratification is not a very important thing. Therefore, what we should do, but then we are caught up in this quandary, we are caught up in this kind of situation where we cannot do without it also. I cannot suddenly take up sannyas and give up everything and wear saffron robes and stop studying. No, that also I cannot do. So we have to make the best use of the bad bargain. Current society is structured like this. There is no education about the spirit soul at all. In fact, the government and the institutions, you go to them, when we approach them and tell them, we want to teach the students about Bhagavad Gita also, we have some Bhagavad Gita sessions. Many colleges, they tell, we are very secular. We don't teach all these things. We don't allow these things in our campus. The most important thing for the human life, they are not ready to teach. And what they are teaching? Only how to take care of your livelihood. That's all that they are teaching. So it's not very important knowledge that is being taught in the schools and colleges. But then, we cannot change the world now. The culture you cannot change. You cannot bring back all that Vedic culture and all that. So what to do? So what we do is we execute our spiritual duties without fail every day. I have taken a vow that I will chant 1 round, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 16 rounds, whatever you have taken up that vow of chanting a minimum number of malas every day, I will chant that every day without fail. Every day I will read Prabhupada's books. And weekly, once or twice in a day, I can come to the temple, attend the program, and do some practical service in the temple. This much without fail I will do. No matter what the situation, I will do this without fail. This you should fix up. And the rest of it, you do your whatever is your whatever you feel is appropriate time to be given for your studies, you give, and leave the result to your karma. According to your karma, whatever has to come will come, provided you put in the proper, ample, the right, optimal amount of effort. Without effort, result will not come. You have to put in some effort. So you do your duty dutifully. Okay, I am a student. What I have to do? I have to study. Whatever is the number of hours you require to be put in, you put in that much. Now, just because I'm a student, I put in 22 hours of reading, I forget my chanting, I forget my reading, all those things. It's not going to improve your rankings and your grades. It's not going to improve. Your karma is already fixed up, how much you are going to get. So you do your spiritual duty first. That is the primary duty. After that, whatever time is left, anyway, you have after doing your spiritual duties, you got free time, put it into your studies. And leave it to your karma, according to your intelligence, according to your past karma, whatever marks have to come, it will come. So, we have to balance our life like this. Even in tomorrow you will all go out of college, you will graduate out of college, you will get a job somewhere and you will start working. Even there also, you have to balance things. Sometimes people get caught up too much into the thinking that I have to put in more, doing good means I have to put in more and more effort. I have to do hard work. I have to sweat it out like a donkey. Then I'm doing well. Doesn't work like that. A person, if he is working 8 hours, if he is supposed to work 8 hours in the office, that much is enough. If you put in 18 hours, it's not that you're going to get a bigger salary or you're going to get a hike. It's not going to happen. Whatever is in your karma, that much money has to come, it will come. So, to address the question that what is the duty of a student? Very simple. Do your duty means, as a student, your duty, what is your duty? To study. Whatever is being taught, you study. And don't become unnecessarily caught up in this kind of rat race, thinking that if I work very hard, then I'll get more marks. It's not true. Look at your backbencher in your college. What does he do? Whole year he'll be bunking classes and roaming around and loafing around. Last minute he will read something and he'll write and he will also pass, no? On the other hand, there is some guy you will see in the middle bencher guy, he will be whole year, he is also struggling, attending every class and making notes, studying everything. He also gets the same marks as this backbencher. So simply putting in extra effort doesn't mean that you are going to get extra marks. It's not going to happen. So you have to be balanced. Whatever time is required to be spent, you spend. Don't have to sacrifice your spiritual life for that. That's what I'm saying. Of course, some emergency time comes, like exam times. At that time, you have to put in a little extra, time into your studies. Do that. That's for a brief period of time. But your chanting, that is the most primary thing. Don't sacrifice that. Little bit reading you have to reduce. One Sunday could not come to the temple, chalta hai. Because that's an exigency. Every rule has an exception. Those exceptional circumstances will always be there. You have an assignment to complete and it's not happened. So you have to, today being Sunday, you have to spend that. You cannot come to this one. You can tell your whomever devotee you are in touch with that today Sunday I'm not able to come to the temple because I have an assignment to complete. Tomorrow is the deadline. So you complete that and then go ahead. So we have to balance our study life, work life, and our spiritual life. But always spiritual life takes the precedence. Except in, of course, even for that also there may be some exceptional circumstances where we have to make some little bit of adjustments. Flexibility we have to keep. Is that clear? So there is no hard and fast rule. This is the way to do things. But a simple general formula, what I can say is, your spiritual duties you cannot compromise. That has to happen. After completing your spiritual duties, whatever balance time is there, that you give it for your studies. Is that okay? And then don't become too attached to your results and all that. According to your karma, whatever comes will come. And at the end of the year, when the grades come, when you get placed and all that, you have to understand that, okay, this is my karma. According to my karma, I am getting this. Be satisfied with whatever you get by your karma. That is a great blessing. Today's people, they get so much stressed up, so much frustrated. Why? Because they don't know this, they don't have this great gift of being satisfied with whatever comes according to our karma. Everybody thinks, no, if I work hard, I'll get more. They put work, they do all the hard work, don't get the result that they desire. Then they'll work even harder, and then even then they don't get. Then they get frustrated, they get stressed up. Why it is not happening? Why it is not happening? Why is this formula not working? What is not working? They are not able to figure out. On the other hand, if you are satisfied, this result, whatever it has come, this is my karma. Accept it, peaceful. You will be happy in life. You will be stress-free. That's a simple thing. Is that okay? Any other question, please?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see on the name of spiritual practice and duty, at the beginning, some of the students would be very excited in chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and in that umbrella, in fact, they don't focus on a study. And as they go on practicing a spiritual life, it so happens that his study comes down. In fact, he does not perform well. And then he starts blaming that because I was so much engaged in doing so many services in a spiritual life. Now I'm not able to finish my study, do this, that, and they become so much frustrated.
Yeah.
So in this situation, what is your advice, Prabhu?
That's why I said we have to be a little balanced. If we become, sometimes what happens is, when we come in touch with Krishna consciousness, the knowledge, the logic that is given, and it is a completely new thing. Nobody has ever told, you have never heard these kind of truths, these kind of facts of life. And it becomes so exciting, the person loses sight of other things. So we have to, but that excitement, you have to learn to become steady even in excitement. If you get overexcited, you can lose sight of reality. That's what happens. We have to understand that we are in two worlds right now. We are in this material world. At the same time, we have a spiritual existence. Our spiritual and material existences are merged right now. What the Bhagavad Gita is talking about is getting out of this and situating ourselves fully in the spiritual realm. But until we come to the situation, we have to understand right now I am this material situation also. I have to keep sight of this also. If I drive on the road with a car with one headlight not working, then there is a great chance of accident happening. Sometimes when you go in the night in the road, when we from the opposite side we see only one light, we think it's a bike. And that too, what will happen is the vehicle's left light only will be burning, right light will be off. So we are overtaking a vehicle, a bike is coming, no, sufficient space is there. We overtake, when we come close, we realize, oh my God, this is a four-wheeler. Sometimes it's a tractor, sometimes it's a truck. Suddenly you realize, my God, there is no space. Accident ho jata hai. So we have to, if we don't have both headlights on, then we are inviting accidents. Sometimes even with that you can sail through. Sometimes people manage that and somehow without accident, if their karma is good, they will manage to sail through. But why take that risk? So we have to understand that currently we are stuck in a very tight position where our material and spiritual existences are completely merged and they are stuck together with Fevicol. You have seen Fevicol ads, right? Cannot pull it out. It's like that right now. But by following the process of Bhagavad Gita and chanting Hare Krishna, eventually what will happen is that glue will become free and will get freed. And once we become situated in full spirituality, then we don't have to bother about material existence at all. That time will come, but we cannot artificially imitate that position now. Therefore, we have to keep in mind our current material existence. That's the reality. So there are certain material duties for me to perform, and there are certain spiritual duties also which I have to perform. But if you ask which takes precedence, which is the topmost priority for me, it is the spiritual duties. That I cannot compromise. Material duties, chalta hai, thoda idhar udhar adjust kar lenge, no problem. Now, for a person who has, even though sometimes, but it happens immaturely, when we come in touch with Krishna consciousness, we get overexcited, and then we neglect our other material duties, spend all our time in reading, chanting, doing book distribution, coming to the temple and doing service, and udhar pata chala ki 2 subject, 5 subject mein fail ho gaye. And then we start scratching our head, ab carry over ho gaya, ab kya karna hai? Now, next exam, I have to study for the regular exam plus these 5 subjects also. Jyada time dena padega. So, Narada Muni explains this kind of situation in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is not a new phenomenon. This was there even 5,000 years ago. Narada Muni, while instructing Vyasadeva, he says, Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harer bhajan apakvo athapate tato yadi. If a person apakva, if he is immaturely, he gives up, he rejects. Tyaktva swadharmam, he rejects his material duties. Charanambujam harer bhajan, he does devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna. Immaturely, he is not yet qualified to free himself to renounce this material world, but he renounces out of some sentiment. Oh, so nice, chanting is so nice, prasadam is so nice, and kirtans are so nice, devotees are so nice, and you neglect all the other things. So, and then after some time what happens is when hard reality strikes, then you start suffering materially. Then you say, no, I did a mistake. So I'll cut down on my spiritual duties. So then Narada Muni says, what does he say? Ko vartho apto abhajatam swadharmataha. He says, what has that person lost, even if immaturely he has taken up prematurely the process of devotional service, and later he gives up the devotional service and goes back to his material activities. What has he lost? He has not lost anything. Why? Because the time that he gave for devotional service, that is to his eternal credit. Krishna recognizes that service he has done, no matter how immaturely he has done that service. Krishna recognizes it, and he will eternally carry that benefit with him. Apakvo athapate tado yadi. So even if he falls down, even if he gives up Krishna consciousness totally and goes back to his old material life fully, even then he has not lost anything. Because that time which he gave for Krishna is permanently to his credit. On the other hand, somebody is there who is doing all his material duties very perfectly. Ko vartho apto abhajatam swadharmataha, swadharma, all his material duties perfectly is doing. But then he has never rendered devotional service to Krishna. Then what has he gained? He has not gained anything. Why? Because all the duty he is doing, it is gaining him some result. All that result he will leave behind when he dies, and when he goes to his next life, again he has to start from zero. As a student, he did his duties very nicely, studied all the subjects very nicely, got 100 out of 100 in all the subjects. So perfectly, do you know anyone? 100% in all the subjects? Anybody you know? So, nobody can do that, right? But suppose there is a guy, did his duties perfectly, got 100 out of 100 in all the subjects. Then, at the end of his life, he dies, goes to his next life, he takes birth again. At that time, can he say, in my last life, I did my duties perfectly as a student, got 100 out of 100 in all the subjects. This life, I don't have to study again. I'll start from where I left off. No, sir, you have to go back to the same nursery. Nowadays, it's preschool. You have to go to the same preschool. You have to come to the nursery. You have to come to UKG, LKG, UKG. Then you have to come to first standard. You have to go through the whole thing again. You see how it is? In this life, whatever I have done, I have to leave behind here and go. But what I did for Krishna, even once I uttered the holy name of Krishna, that will be there for me eternally. Next life, when I start my devotional life, I'll start from wherever I stopped in my previous life. The brilliant example of this is Bilvamangal Thakur. Bilvamangal Thakur, he was born in a very rich aristocratic family, Vaishya family. Very rich family, very aristocratic, very wealthy, opulent family. But when he grew up, naturally, when people have a lot of money, what happens? They will spend that money on boozing and girlfriends. Now this Bilva Mangal Thakur also, he, in those days, of course, this is several hundred years back, those days there was no concept of dating, no concept of girlfriends and all that. He started visiting a prostitute. Freely available woman, he started visiting. He had a wife at home, still he would go and meet this prostitute. Got very attached to her. Her name was Sintamani. And then what happened? One day, and he would never miss any day going to meet Sintamani. So attached to her. One day it so happened that his father died. Now his father died, he has to go and do the Antyakriya. He went to the crematorium with the dead body, and the pujaris were doing all the rituals. He was waiting, did finished all thing, and once finally gave them the dakshina. After giving them the dakshina, what he did? Immediately changed all his clothes, started running. Where? To Chintamani. You can imagine the kind of attachment. Father has died. Just went to the crematorium and came back, running for a date with the girlfriend. Ran and went. And it was not an ordinary day. It was pouring. There was a downpour of rain. Did not bother. He ran, and for him to go to Chintamani's house, her house was across a river. When he came to the river, by then the river was swollen and there was a huge current of water flowing. And every day he would take a boat and cross the river. Normally when the river is in spate, when it's raining heavily, the boatman will tie the boat and he will not row the boat because it will capsize, it can drown, it can get swept away. That day when he found the boat is not there, boatman is gone. So what to do now? Jumped into the water. Didn't even think that I'll drown, I'll get washed away. No problem. Somehow I'll get across. And he jumped into the water. The force was so much, he started getting swept away. He started drowning. He was not able to swim. What to do now? Somehow he caught onto a log of wood. Somehow caught on a log of wood and then managed to float on the water and got to the other bank. What a relief. Then he got onto the bank and then turned around and saw that was not a log of wood, it was some dead body floating in the water. Anyway, chalo, somehow I crossed the river and he ran and reached Chintamani's house. Now Chintamani thought, today it's pouring so heavily. Where Bilomangal will come now? That river will be in spate, he cannot cross the river. She closed the front gate of her house and she was inside. And those days house means the house will be there and there will be a big compound wall and beyond that will be the gate. Now when he came there, he is calling out to Chintamani. She is not able to hear because of the downpour and so much sound, lightning, thunder, so many things are going on. And the gate is also locked, he is not able to open. And the compound wall is also very high. Then he saw in one place there is a rope hanging down. He caught onto the rope, climbed the top of this one, and then he was about to jump over. Then he looked back and saw it was not a rope, it was a snake. Somehow the snake did not bite him. Chalo, anyway, no problem. Somehow I crossed. No, he jumped down and then went and knocked on the door. When he knocked on the door, Chintamani opened the door and she was shocked. Bilamangala has come. Totally unexpected. Although he was coming every day, but she was shocked. Today, I never thought he will come. It's pouring out there and he is fully drenched. She took him inside and she asked him, how did you come? Then Bilamangal narrated the whole thing. His father had died, went to the crematorium, came to the river, caught onto a dead body, crossed over, She said only this much. Suddenly, in Bilamangal Thakur's heart, it was like somebody had snapped on a switch. He got a shock. Turned around and walked away. Where did he walk away? Not back to his house. Walked all the way to Vrindavan. And he went to Vrindavan, and there he became Surdas, the great, renowned devotee of Krishna. So much so that every day Krishna would come to Bilamangal Thakur, deliver him a pot of milk, so that he did not have to cook or eat or spend time for all these things. Krishna would personally come and feed him every day. Became such a great devotee. Because in his previous life he had done devotional service, the moment Chintamani spoke those words, snapped, and again all that devotional life he had done, devotional activities he had done in his previous life, again it started off from there and he continued from there. This is how, if you do devotional service to Krishna in this life, it will continue with you in the next life. It does not end there. It's not that again you have to again you have to start from the beginning. No. Whatever spiritual progress you have achieved in this life, next life you will continue from there. This is the greatness of spiritual life, devotional life. So therefore, why were we discussing this point? What was the question? Just remind me. Yeah. So that is the greatness of this spiritual life. And compared to material knowledge, we were talking about that. Material knowledge, when we, whatever material knowledge we acquire in this life, we have to leave it behind here and go. But spiritual, whatever progress we make, that is eternally with us. And so therefore, the point we were discussing was about how somebody may immaturely give up his, he may immaturely give up his material activities, take up spiritual life. Because of that, his material life has got suffered. But don't have to worry, because that is to your eternal credit. It will continue with you even in your next life. So according to the version of the Bhagavatam and Narada Muni, if somebody has lost something like that, it is not to worry. He has only gained something higher and more valuable in his life. But we should try not to do that. We should handle this spiritual knowledge maturely, understanding the current reality of material life that is there with us today. We have to balance both. But sometimes out of immaturity, out of overexcitement, even if we neglect our material activities and devote too much time to our spirituality, still we are not lost anything. It is to our eternal credit. That's what we have to. But we have to, ideally speaking, we should be mature, and we should not let our material activities also suffer until we come to the position to be able to surrender to Krishna fully. Of course, ultimately Krishna also says in the Srimad Bhagavatam also it is said that in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. The highest duty is to give up everything else and surrender to Krishna. But then that requires a certain amount of vairagya within the heart. Until we come to that stage, until in the heart, that desire automatically will come in the heart. Stage will come. We have to go on chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, doing devotional service, practical devotional service in the temple, like doing book distribution, helping in serving prasadam, etc. All these things we keep on doing. Gradually, the desire will awaken in the heart to dedicate oneself fully for Prabhupada's mission, for Krishna's mission. Until that time, we have to manage both. But once that desire strongly takes root in our heart, then you give up everything else, surrender yourself fully to Krishna. Your life will be so blissful. It's such a wonderful life. You will never regret dedicating your life for Krishna and Prabhupada. All right. Thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.